The night tasted like rain and regret when Hannah signed her name on the digital screen, her hand trembling not from desire but from exhaustion she could no longer hide. She had promised herself this was only about forgetting, about feeling human again for a few hours in a city that never seemed to care who was breaking inside it. Somewhere between the hum of traffic outside her small Chicago apartment and the ache behind her ribs, she wondered what it would feel like if someone saw her without needing anything in return, and she asked herself, what if this were you, worn thin by life, choosing one reckless moment just to breathe again? Hannah was 31 and already felt twice that age. Medical bills from her late mother still haunted her mailbox, and the daycare job she worked barely kept the lights on. Love had slipped quietly out of her life years ago, not in a dramatic breakup but in a slow erosion of trust and hope. She had learned how to smile at parents while her feet ached, how to eat dinner standing over the sink, and how to cry silently so the neighbors would not hear. Booking a companion for one night felt like crossing a line she never imagined crossing, but loneliness has a way of bending morals when survival becomes routine. When the knock finally came, it was softer than she expected. The man who stepped inside did not look like the fantasy she had half expected and half feared. He was calm, broad-shouldered, with tired eyes that carried something familiar. His name was Michael, or at least that was what he offered, and there was a gentleness in the way he moved, like someone used to being careful. He did not scan the room with judgment or hunger. He simply noticed the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, the second-hand couch, the faint smell of soup lingering from dinner. Hannah felt exposed in a way she did not anticipate, as if her life had been read aloud without permission. Michael had his own reasons for being there, reasons buried under layers of responsibility and secrecy. By day, he was the CEO of a global tech company based in San Francisco, a man whose signature could move markets and whose face appeared in business magazines. By night, at least this night, he was a single father pretending to be ordinary, running from boardrooms and headlines after his wife's death left him hollow. His son slept every night under the care of a trusted nanny while Michael tried to remember who he was before grief turned him into a symbol instead of a person. He told himself this was anonymity, a harmless escape, but as he stood in Hannah's living room, he felt the weight of deception settle heavier than expected. What unfolded between them was not the story Hannah thought she had purchased. There was no rush, no hunger-driven urgency. Instead, there was shared silence, the kind that only forms when two people are too tired to pretend. Michael listened as Hannah spoke about her mother's last days, about the fear of becoming invisible, about the shame of needing help. He did not interrupt or try to fix anything. He simply stayed present, and in that presence, something fragile began to mend. Michael, in turn, spoke of fatherhood without revealing the scale of his life, describing bedtime stories and the panic of raising a child alone. Hannah felt her chest tighten with empathy, thinking how strange it was that comfort could come from someone she was paying to be there. If you were in that room, would you have noticed how pain recognizes pain, how brokenness finds its mirror? Would you have allowed yourself to soften, knowing the morning would erase it all? Hannah did, and in doing so, she felt something shift. For the first time in years, she did not feel like a burden or a failure. She felt seen. The night passed gently, without crossing lines that would cheapen the connection. When morning light crept through the blinds, it revealed two people changed in ways neither expected. Michael left quietly, leaving behind more than the agreed payment. Hannah noticed it later, tucked beside a note that said nothing extraordinary, only a simple wish for peace. She told herself not to read into it, not to hope. Hope had betrayed her too many times. Weeks passed, and life resumed its relentless pace. Hannah continued working, continued counting dollars, continued waking with the same weight pressing down on her chest. Then came the letter. It was an invitation to an interview for a foundation-sponsored program that helped caregivers and low-income workers pursue education. She almost laughed at the coincidence, almost threw it away. But something nudged her forward, a quiet insistence that this was not random. The interview took place in a sleek building downtown, glass and steel reflecting a world she felt she did not belong to. When she entered the conference room, her breath caught. At the head of the table stood Michael, no longer dressed in anonymity but in authority, surrounded by executives who deferred to him. Recognition flared, followed by humiliation and anger. She felt foolish, exposed all over again. He met her eyes, and in them was not superiority but regret. Michael had not planned this reveal. After leaving Hannah's apartment, he had realized how deeply the night affected him. Her honesty, her resilience, her quiet strength had followed him back to his real life. He created the foundation not as charity, but as restitution, a way to honor the humanity he had almost forgotten. Seeing her there, standing tall despite everything, reminded him why he started it. Hannah did not accept anything easily. Pride and pain tangled inside her, and she nearly walked away. But then she thought about her mother, about the years lost to fear, about the possibility of choosing differently. She accepted the opportunity, not because of Michael, but because she finally believed she deserved a chance. Their paths crossed again over time, cautiously, honestly this time. Michael revealed his truth fully, including his son, his grief, and his mistakes. Hannah shared her doubts and boundaries. Change did not come in a montage of miracles. It came slowly, through late-night studying, awkward conversations, and moments of vulnerability that tested their resolve. But something real grew, rooted in that first night of unexpected kindness. Years later, Hannah would look back and marvel at how one decision made in desperation altered the course of her life. Not because of wealth or status, but because two broken people chose empathy over escape. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you question the quiet choices that shape our lives, take a moment before the ending to comment what you would have done in Hannah's place. And if this story truly touched your heart, gently reminding you of second chances and unseen grace, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, so more hearts can find hope in moments that seem ordinary but change everything.